Hey guys, welcome to No Filters, Just Freedom, the show for people who are ready to stop shrinking, start rising, and live with unapologetic audacity. My name is Jasmine, I'm a life coach, and I'm here to guide us all through this journey of bold, authentic living.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to No Filters. My name is Jasmine, and I'm excited to continue doing this journey with you. Today, we have a pretty fun topic. We're going to talk about how we should live our dreams without going bankrupt or, getting arrested for something crazy. So I'm excited. Let's just jump right into it, okay? What if I told you that living your dream isn't about luck? It's a skill you can learn. Today, I'm breaking down exactly how to go from dreaming to doing. Look, we've all been there. We're watching Shark Tank on TV, eating ice cream like, I could totally do that. Or maybe you've Googled how to actually be happy while ignoring 37 unread messages. I'll be honest, my first dream was to be a wizard, like a Harry Potter wizard. That just felt like that was where I belonged. Then I realized Hogwarts wasn't hiring, and I never got my letter, so here we are. Okay? Sometimes you just gotta pivot. The truth is, about 80% of people never pursue their passion. So let's change that. The first thing we have to do in order to change that is to define our dreams. Your dream doesn't have to be saving orphans, unless you're into that, okay? It doesn't have to be something where you are the biggest philanthropist in the world. It doesn't have to, change the world in that kind of a manner where everyone's like, look at them giving everything they have and the children of the world. And it doesn't have to look like that, okay? That's not the only dream that exists out there in the world. But if you're into it, bet. If you're not, don't lose heart. You also don't have to become a vegan yogi, but shout out to your downward dog. Okay, I know we live in a culture and a society where we value health and looking good and all these other things. And if you're into that, awesome. But if you're not, it's cool. Does not make you any less, doesn't make your dream any less. It's just not your vibe. Okay, nor do you have to be the person that starts a podcast. Well, it's cool. Sometimes that's okay too. But again, it doesn't have to be all that. It doesn't have to be some big grand gesture, okay? Your dream doesn't have to be this giant destiny, right? It can be something that works for you, okay? Think about this. What did you love as a kid before bills ruined your life? Okay? What brought you joy as a child before adulthood smacked you in the face? That's the question. Maybe you were a Lego master, okay? Maybe you were here for the building. That sounds like you should try design to me. Okay, maybe you were meant to be a designer. Maybe you were meant to be an architect. It could be anything. You just found passion from doing the Legos. Okay, that's cool too. Or maybe you found yourself as the class clown. That sounds like an improv class to Jasmine. It's okay if you loved doing something and maybe you were judged for it or maybe people didn't value it. It's fine. If you love it and it was something that brought you joy, we can transition that. So maybe you need to be an actor. Maybe jumping into another character is what really made it work for you. That's cool. It works. We can turn that into something that actually makes you money. Okay? And maybe you were a professional daydreamer and the world kept trying to bring you back from the clouds. Okay? Maybe they were always talking about you, how you don't pay attention and you're never around and da-da-da-da-da. Well, congrats. You sound like a writer to me. You sound like someone that could write the next big fantasy series. It's okay. Your dream can be anything you want. Your calling doesn't have to be spectacular. It just needs to make you smile. Because that's the whole point of living your dream, right? It's to do the thing that makes you smile, that makes you want to get up in the morning, that doesn't feel like a job. It's something that brings you joy. When you stop working to live, or you stop living to work and you actually work just to live your life, that is the goal. That is the great thing that we're striving for. You want to be able to smile, okay? So the next thing you got to do is fight your brain and find that dream, okay? So start by grabbing your phone, all right? Scroll through your camera and think, what makes you smile? That is a big clue. That is a big first step, okay? Now, unless the thing that's making you smile is the memes, and then we might need to dig a little bit deeper, okay? Just a little bit, just a little deeper. We all have something that brings us joy and brings us passion, okay? I love learning about other people's lives, and I love helping people, but not in the saving orphans kind of a way. I'm not that altruistic. I love taking something small that maybe people are beating themselves up over and turning that into something that they can see the best version of themselves in. When I see someone get proud of themselves or get inspired or whatever else, it brings me so much joy. Okay, I love that. And it's not that I want to be the one that fixes that or changes that. I just want to be a part of it with you. I just love seeing that moment when it clicks. I love seeing that moment where someone takes something that's been fighting them and beating themselves up over and turn it into something that changes their lives. I love that moment. I love it with my friends. I worked in the restaurant industry for years, and I loved talking to people when I was bartending and just walking through some different stuff with them. And then all of a sudden it clicks and they're like, huh, I love that moment. Okay. And I never wanted to be a therapist. Okay. I don't want to just make room and space for your problems and your suffering and then go, well, tell me more about that or whatever else. I am a practical kind of gal, okay? I want to talk about it or let you talk about it, and then I want to come up with an action plan. That's what brings me joy. And I'm kind of good at it. I mean, not just because I feel like I'm good at it, but a lot of my friends and family, they love how I can make room for them, and then we can come up with actual steps. That made something as simple as becoming a life coach really, really smart, okay? It meant that I can find a way to help people change people, mold people, while still letting them be the best version of themselves. I could make money for actually helping people become who they were meant to be, not just feel their feelings, which is important, okay? I don't want to take your money every week just to keep hashing out some stuff from your childhood. I want to just brush by that slightly, think about the things that, could be roadblocks for how you need to get where you need to be. But I want to talk about how to get where you need to be. And I love doing that. I love that moment. I love seeing that change in people's lives. So my dream was to be a life coach, and I am working my butt off to get there. Okay. This podcast is fun. I absolutely love it. It brings me joy. But also, it's another way to discuss and help and talk about bigger things and move towards getting people to love life coaching, to get people to see that there are other practical things that they could do no matter what their childhood brought, no matter where they're working now, whatever it is, there's still an opportunity to be great. And that's what you want to do when you find your dream. Okay, you want to find something that brings you joy, that you're passionate about, that you feel like you'd be willing to do every day, getting up and not feel like, oh God, I have to go to the office, but like, man, I have an opportunity to go to work. Like, I'm excited. Today's another day that I could do something for people. Okay, that's what we're looking for. That's what you're searching for. And now that you have an idea for your dream, we have to fight our brain. Okay, your brain is like a sabotage goblin, okay? It will hit you with things like, you're not ready. Well, I mean, technically speaking, nobody's really ready. Nobody's really gung-ho and prepared to uproot their lives and change it into something that seems counterintuitive or maybe culture's not the biggest fan of, okay? Living your dream and finding your passion and going against the status quo can feel like being a parent, okay? Or shoot, even getting a spouse, okay? These are things that you can be passionate about, that you can love, that's what you want in your life, and that's a goal that you have, and yet and still, you're not ready. And anyone says that they're ready to be married or ready to have a kid, they clearly haven't thought through the bigger picture of what that looks like, because nobody is ready to have a child. Nobody is ready to just be like, oh, this is everything. I'm prepared. You're not prepared. I love it. Sorry to tell you, but you're not prepared. And that is a-okay. You can do things that you're not fully prepared for. You don't have to be fully ready. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have these things all written out in stone and what that actually looks like, okay? You just don't have to. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't let your brain sabotage you by telling you you're not ready, okay? Or maybe what you're trying to go through, your dream, is kind of a stacked house, and it's like, your brain's looking at you going, it's too competitive. Well, guess what? So was school, so was high school, so was college, but you survived it. Okay, you're still standing. Might not have been your favorite thing. The struggle might have been hard in the process, but you made it to the other side. Competitiveness is not a problem. We talk about, job saturation and, how difficult it is because everybody's trying to be there. It doesn't matter. People that are passionate and want to go to med school, if they just let competitiveness stop them, we wouldn't have any doctors in the world. It's hard. Sometimes it takes a lot of effort and push, and you're fighting for yourself when other people aren't necessarily fighting for you. Sometimes that's how it is. And you got to be able to fight through that. Don't let your brain stop you from being great just because there might be a lot of people trying to do it with you. Okay? It's weird. Sometimes my brain sometimes still tells me that I'm not ready, or that sometimes I'm struggling because the market is too competitive. Like, having a life coach seems very niche. Having a life coach seems like a privilege that people might want, but don't think they can have, don't think they're worth, don't think they can afford, and it's hard. So you're trying to reach the masses, but also remind yourself that you are worthy of being paid. That's something that I struggle with. Maybe I'm not living up to the people that are getting paid a lot, and maybe I'm not where I need to be. There's a whole list of things in there that my brain tried to sabotage me with, but I can't let that stop me. Okay? Sometimes living your dream isn't always pretty. And sometimes your brain might tell you it's too late and dreams don't pay the bills. And sometimes your brain tells you that because that's what you learned in your childhood. My dad was great. He taught me how to do a lot of great things, but he also wasn't a perfect man, okay? And I used to tell him that I just wanted to do what I love. I wanted to do something that brought me joy and brought me passion. I've always felt that way as a child. And he said, I got it, but love and passion don't pay the bills. And he's not necessarily wrong, okay? You can't just do it off the feeling. The feeling doesn't pay the bills. Okay, and that goes in the opposite direction. Feeling overwhelmed and hating your job or whatever else, that feeling doesn't pay the bills either. Okay, so feelings in general don't help you live. You have to be practical with it, but it's not too late, and you can pull it off even if it's hard. Think about this. Betty White was still crushing it at 99. So was Cicely Tyson. It is never too late. It is never something that you can't do. I read somewhere that, I don't even know the man's real name because we just call him the Colonel, that did KFC. He started KFC at like 60. That's wild to me. By 60, I want to be starting to retire. Okay, I want to be done. But he found his passion and started making it work later in life, and that is okay. You don't have to have it all together right away. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to make sure all of those things are set in stone. Okay? It's never too late to try to do something that you love. Or my personal favorite, which again is something that was hard for me as trying to become a life coach and also getting everything set up and the steps that need to be there so that people can sign up and X, Y, and Z, is that your brain tells you that you need more money. You don't have enough money to start this. You don't have enough money to make this happen. You have so many things standing in the way. You have more important things to invest in, okay? There was a dude that created and treated pet rocks because he was bored and not rich, okay? He created this empire, okay? Like, I wonder how much money Jeff Bezos actually had when he started Amazon. Not to be funny, like I wonder how much money, because he's never been that person that started with seed money. He wasn't a millionaire, okay? He didn't have all these things lined up in his favor. How much money do you think he really had? There are so many people out there creating dreams and starting dreams that start from nothing. That's their thing. I started with nothing and created an empire. Okay? So you don't have to have everything. You don't have to, have the seed money and have the backup plans and have all these things. Now, that being said, you still have to pay your bills. So sometimes you have to keep working while fighting for your dream. Okay? Not everyone can just drop everything right away and do it. Okay? That's a little different, but you don't have to have it all together. You don't have to have all this epic seed money and be rich before you can start what you need to start. Okay? You don't have to. The trick is to treat your brain like it's a toddler. Okay? You're not writing a book. You're just typing some fun words. Okay? Or we're not networking. We're making friends with people who might pay us. Okay? You try to tell yourself, what if I fall? Cool. Okay, it's okay. And then you say, what if I succeed? Even cooler. Okay, you actually got it done. It's okay to fail sometimes. It's a lesson learned. All right. It's okay to struggle and not be sure how to get somewhere and to fight and to keep going while trying to live your dream. They're just lessons, albeit they might be hard fought lessons and it might be a little painful, but they're still there. Okay. And once we tell our brain to chill out, because again, sometimes your brain is your biggest op. Okay. Once we tell our brains to chill out, it's time to start making those small steps in order to get where we need to be. And I do mean small, guys. They talk about it. Rome wasn't built in a day, but I'm also sure their to-do list was shorter than yours. Okay. I'm sure they didn't have like a 6-point presentation of how to get to where they wanted to be to build the Colosseum. I just don't believe they did. And so maybe you need to shorten yours. It doesn't have to be that extensive or that extreme. Start small. Forget go big or go home. Okay? Try something like go tiny and try not to vomit. Okay? Sometimes you just gotta be like, what can I do to make one step and then pause for a moment? Because that one step might have been overwhelming. That one step might have been the very thing that you were like, I've been worried about this step my whole life. It's okay. You make that step and then you pause and you congratulate yourself for moving forward. Okay? Think about it as adulting for beginners. Okay? When you're trying to do your plan, you start small and you adult for beginners. So first, we have to build the plan. I like to have a 1% rule. Okay, so you're going to break that dream into tiny, small actions. All right, you just have little moments of these things. Okay, when I was writing a book, I'm also writing my next book. The first thing I need to do was come up with an outline. I didn't just start typing. That's not how my brain works. Okay, so I had to start with something a little more basic. Okay, I had to start with something that was like, okay, what concept do I want? And this outline was not a class outline. I would not be getting credit in English class for this kind of outline. This is a how Jasmine's brain works kind of outline. Okay, and that's what I have to do. And then when I'm ready, I might type out a little bit of 1 point on the outline. And I do this whole thing. And if you were just to look at some of the blueprints that as I walk through this, you'd be like, what the devil is she writing? And does this have anything to do with anything? Sometimes you have to start small and not worry about the bigger picture. Sometimes you're just trying to go step by step, okay? You don't need to hustle 24/7. Just 1% less lazy than yesterday, okay? So sometimes I'm super excited because I actually wrote something down. Did nothing with it, didn't create, a whole chapter on it, but I did something with it. And that's a big deal. I just wrote it down. I just typed out 2 sentences. I put a thought that I had to paper and called it a day. That's the 1% rule. I did something today. I made a small step in the right direction, okay? You don't need a 5-year plan. Try a 5-minute plan, okay? Try to say, hey, I have a little bit of free time for these 5 minutes. How do I want to spend these 5 minutes moving towards my goal? And it's only 5 minutes, so you can't pack it with a bunch of different stuff. You might just need to do something basic, something small. Get your desk area together, pull and organize your materials, come up with something that is like, oh, I need a location. Let me just search. Might not find anything, but you search just for 5 minutes. That's how we build our plan. We build it brick by brick, day by unglamorous day, okay? It's slowly but surely, okay? If it feels stupid but works, then it's not stupid. It's a crazy concept. But if it works, then it's not a stupid thing to do because it's actually making progress, okay? It's like the KISS method, okay? We say it, keep it simple, stupid. It doesn't have to be this grandiose thing. It can be something small, step by step, day by day, little by little. And one day you'll look back and you see what you've been creating and you're like, wow, I didn't see this structure all the way through, because it's hard to see the forest through the trees. But it's okay because you can still have it. You just have to start small and let it grow itself. Then you have to embrace the chaos, okay? Having a dream, living your life is chaotic, okay? We're gonna fail like happy idiots. Like I said, it might seem stupid, but it's not. You might feel like an idiot, but you're not, okay? You're fighting for your dream, you're doing something, you're trying not to be broke while doing it, all right? But we're gonna be happy. Sometimes dreams require discomfort, okay? Sometimes it's hard. I cannot tell you the amount of times and discomfort and everything that I have in the process of doing this and trying to build a life coaching business with being a mom and being a wife and taking care of the house, and sometimes struggling and not knowing if it was going to pay off and not finding a client and all of these things. And it's hard and it's uncomfortable. And it can be frustrating when my husband comes home and goes, hey, did you get a client today? And sometimes the answer is no. A lot of times the answer is no. And that's really hard and that's really frustrating. And sometimes it'll make you feel like, you're not getting where you want to be. I love being a life coach and I want to help and I want to change people, but I also have a bigger vision. I have a vision to build community. I am not going to go into this big grandiose plan of what I see to be created. And part of this vision that I have is specifically creating a community for women, but that's a whole separate topic that maybe one day I'll expound upon just because I can. But I'm not there yet. And it's hard, it's uncomfortable. And one day I tried to start there, but it was I wasn't taking small steps. I wasn't doing what I needed to do to actually pull off what I needed to pull off. So I had to go back to the drawing board and try to make the little things work. It's uncomfortable. It's not always fun. It can be really disheartening sometimes, but that doesn't mean I stop living my dream. That doesn't mean I don't stop doing what I love. That doesn't mean I give up on the process. Okay? It doesn't have to be all that. Sometimes it can be just as simple as the little steps, like I said. Okay? The point that I'm making is that failure can just be data. Okay? It can just be information. It can just be something that taught you a lesson in the moment, and you take a little note and you say, okay, that didn't work, but what about it didn't work? And also document the chaos. Okay? Talk about what it actually was. Show what it was big picture. Future you will cringe, laugh, cry, and all of those things are valid, okay? Every last one of those moments is a big deal and can make you happy and everything else. It's okay. It's okay to have those things. It's okay to have those moments. It's okay to be great. Okay? It's a-okay. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to stress. You don't have to be perfect all the time. Failure is just data. And it's gonna make you cringe sometimes. And you're going to be frustrated. It's going to be hard. But, they say it all the time. Anything worth doing isn't easy. That's just kind of how it works, okay? And if you do find a way to have that passion and grow quickly without a lot of discomfort, more power to you. I'm slightly jealous, but go off. But for the rest of us, you just kind of have to embrace the chaos. And above all else, stay resilient, okay? There are going to be so many obstacles that you face trying to get your dream together, okay? There'll be rejection. A lot of people might not understand what you're trying to do. A lot of people might tell you that it's unimportant. A lot of people might tell you that you can't do it. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a good plan, but you're never going to pull that off. That's something that could happen too. That doesn't mean it's real. That doesn't mean it's true. That doesn't mean you have to give up on it just because random strangers are telling you that you can't. You have to fight those feelings. You have to come back against rejection. You're going to face failure. That's just the reality of it. You're going to fail in some areas. That's the only way we grow. That's the only way we perfect it. That's the only way we figure out what can work and how to pull it off and that's it. That's the only thing we can try. Sometimes you gotta fail a little bit. And that doesn't make you a failure. Failing at a situation does not make you a failure. It just means what you were doing in that moment wasn't working. All right? And then you really gotta overcome the obstacle of burnout, which is why I said we gotta go step by step by little step. Because if you try to do too much at one point, you'll burn yourself out, and then you'll be like, I don't have the energy for this. I'm not gonna be able to pull my passion off. It's gonna be too hard. My dream is not functional. No. You have to go little by little. You cannot do it all at one time. Your body wasn't meant for that. Your brain wasn't meant for that. And the truth is, your dream deserves better than that. It deserves all of you, not just little bits of you because you gave spurts of energy. Like, it deserves your passion, your belief, and all of what you can do. And if you work too hard at first and you don't leave space and you don't build room for yourself, you're not going to get the best version of you. Okay, it's okay to need breaks, even though every no can be a step closer to yes. Okay, sometimes we just need a moment. It's okay to need the break, even though, step by step is important. It's cool. If you need a nap, if you need to walk, if you need to rewatch your favorite movie, so be it. Whatever it is, treat yourself so that you don't overwhelm yourself. Again, you want the best version of you. You want to bring all of you to the table, not just part of you, not just a small bit of whatever it is. You want to be able to be all of you and the best version of yourself. Then, once you calm down, relax, treat yourself, you can come back with fresh eyes and maybe a snack, okay? So here's the big picture. Here's what if I had to summarize it all back down. Dream your dream, but without delusion, okay? It can be big or small. Just let it be yours, okay? You're not living someone else's dream. They're not trying to do it all today, but you can live your dream. You can have it. You can grow. Have the dream and make it your passion to get started, okay? Also, your brain can and will lie to you, okay? Fight back with facts and, again, maybe some snacks. Don't let your brain sabotage you. And lastly, being done and doing something done is far greater than something being perfect. Always. That's always how it works. You want to see it. You want to see the final product. You want to get something done, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I know for a fact this podcast is not perfect. I know it's not got everything that I want. It doesn't always have all the bells and whistles, but guess what? I don't have all the bells and whistles, and I'm a mom and a wife. So this is what we got. And one day, big picture, I'll have like a studio and I'll be able to do things, and my kid will be older and it'll be great, and I will be able to just create the best thing possible. Okay? But for right now, this is what I got, and it's a-okay. Sometimes my videos aren't perfect. I don't have a professional, editor and all these other things. It's fine. That's not the point. The point is not for it to look good. The point is for it to get done and to reach people. Okay? Remember, nobody actually has their life together. Some just hide it better than others. So don't compare or compromise your dream. Your dream isn't just possible. It's waiting for you to show up. Okay, your dream isn't just possible, it's waiting for you to show up. Now, go text your friend and say, "Remind me why I'm doing this," and then do it anyway.
Remember, you don't need permission to be great, and this is your call to rise, to reclaim your power, and to step boldly into the life you were meant to live. I believe extraordinary potential lives in all of us, the dreams we've tucked away, the voice that was softened, and the fire that's been waiting to burn bright. This journey isn't about fitting into someone else's mold. It's about shattering expectations and embracing your truest, most unapologetic self. No more shrinking or waiting for permission. The world needs your brilliance, your resilience, and your unique light. It's time to stop asking, "Am I enough?" and start declaring, "I am more than enough." Your next chapter begins now. Let's write it with courage, audacity, and unshakable belief in who you are. The unstoppable person isn't born, they're awakened. And that person is you. Now go start your revolution. This world needs your unshaken light today.